Okay, let's talk about evil, suffering, pain, stuff that I keep getting asked every single year. What do you guys think? It's a really big topic and it's quite hard to unpack, I think, but I think everybody has at least something to say, or we've all come to terms with it at some point in our lives. Yeah, I think some of us may not have experienced like personal pain, but we probably have experienced kind of like diffuse pain when you see like Black Lives Matter, or problems of injustice in America or other parts of the world as well, and like earthquake, Christchurch, stuff like that. What do you think?
I think that in this world there is pain, suffering, and evil because it's a fallen world. Like sin has entered our world, and we need God, and the absence of God and the sin in this world, the result of that is the pain and suffering that we see in the world that we have. What do you think, Kelly? You already practice.
Yeah, I agree.
No, yeah, it's interesting, like, cause we see on the newspaper all the time. Like sometimes we almost get immune to it because we're getting all these like information, of like people having really, really corrupt and cruel things done to them, and we read it and we're like so disgusted, and like you're just like, what? How is there such a thing happening in the world, and why aren't like people doing anything to stop it? Why isn't God doing anything to stop it? And something like boggles our mind. But at the same time, we get so much information about it that it almost becomes like we become numb to it. We stop feeling anymore because we feel like, oh, there's nothing we can do about it, and there's no way we can change anything. So why do we even try? So it is a very relevant issue and something that we need to discuss.
So, like, how would a Christian respond? I mean, you can watch police shooting innocent people all the time, and as a Christian, how would you feel? Like, and if somebody asks you, where's God in this? Like, what would you say?
Okay, yo, you go.
Go.
I think when these kind of things happen, God is involved, and I think no matter how heartbroken or how sad we get, we always have to remember that God is even more heartbroken than us. I think we're at times where we can be so self-centered and think, where is God in this, when actually the person whose heart is broken like the most, and who's really upset and sad about this is really God himself. So for me, where is God in this is like, if you I think God is involved. He's involved. There's a car.
So take a bite.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Charissa?
Okay. What was I gonna say? Backtrack. Okay, I was gonna talk about justice. How it's interesting that sometimes, although we feel like there's nothing that can be done, it's also actually we know that we can't do anything until, and that's why there has to be a God to do something about this issue, because obviously there's a huge issue in the world. We're all people trying to be good in the world, but there is also huge forces of evil and bad like fighting, and that's why there's tension and unsolvable conflict, which is why there has to be a God for this to be fair. And sometimes, although we can't see a way to solve the issue now, that points us to the fact that there is justice gonna come in the future. In the sense that, like, for us Christians, we have hope that although we can't see anything coming out of what we're trying to do now, we can have hope that the justice will be served because we serve a just God. And that doesn't mean to say that we should just like step back and not do anything about it. I think we have a fair share of what we can do about it and what we should do about it. But at the same time, we can have peace in knowing that when we try our best, we know that, cheesy as it sounds, God will do the rest. Because we can't do everything, because we're that small. But we can be a part of the plan to fight for justice. But
yeah. Emily, do you have any thoughts on the issue?
Well, I like to think that God is not there as a puppeteer. So he's not there pulling our strings, trying to get us to do stuff. He gave us the free will to do, to action out whatever we think is just and is correct according to his will.
Yeah.
So like, he doesn't go around like commanding people to like shoot other people down. It's the will of the minds of whatever that person's mind, in his mind, whatever he's thinking at that time. So it's not God who has commanded him. He must have like gone through like some kind of like emotional and like whatever distress or whatever thoughts that have been through their mind that goes through that. And we can't really blame God for saying, it's why didn't God stop that? Because he can't, like the story of Adam and Eve comes back to like, Eve took the fruit, even though they were told not to take it.
Yeah.
It wasn't God who asked Eve to take the fruit.
Yeah.
In fact, he specifically said, don't take it. But she chose to take it. So, at the end of the day, we can't really stop these people. I mean, we can give them a lot of counseling, we can do all kinds of ways to like prevent it from happening.
Yeah.
But as long as there's sin in this world, evil will always prevail. There will always be evil out there. And I think our role now, I don't really know the answer to this, like how are we going to like resolve, all this evil, because like Charissa said, we are really vulnerable, we are very really small and tiny in the roles of like, the whole bigger picture of the world.
Yeah.
I think our part is just to like perhaps try as our best to like work among our community and see what our strengths are, and from there try to like make it a better place for where we are. So yeah, that's my thought.
I had a speaker once saying that one thing that we should know is that God cares.
Yeah.
No matter what happened, that God cares and God hears the cry of the poor and those who suffer, like what Kelly said just now, and that he loves the world, and that's why he sends Jesus, and that Jesus and God, who's like the perfect judge, like Charissa said, will call to like the end his redemption plan for the world, for everyone, and how like when Jesus returns and with his plan, he would like bind up the brokenhearted, he would like care for the poor, and he would make it right.
Yeah. I mean, let's take it from a more personal angle. I think all of us have faced like the death of a grandparent or someone who's really dear to us, or at least had a friend who is maybe currently suffering from an illness or something, or know of people completely heartbroken, and like how do you cope with pain and suffering when it's so close to you? What do you do?
Kelly has a really good answer for that one.
Yeah, because Kelly's just
in
so much pain.
I am very sleepy right now. Okay.
Struggle's real.
Sleep deprived. Personal suffering. I think for everyone it's spelled out differently. For some people it might be spelled out as disappointments. Some people it might be spelled out as rejection. Some people, I don't know why they're
which you
laughing.
get a lot when you're the leader.
Yeah. Lily knows it. For some people it might be spelled out as like hopelessness. So for me, I think personal like suffering or personal like if you go through some period of unwanted things happening, for me it really you come to the point where you had to just cry out before God and say, God, I do not know what to do. And that's I think that's the role of suffering or pain in our personal life, is that it really made me to cry out before God, like I would never have before. I mean, if that didn't happen, then I would never know that I could cry out to God in that way. So it's kind of like what the Psalms are really talking about. It's just like a moment of sound where you just cry out to God and like know that He will do His work, even though it seems like He's not. But the fact that you're crying out to God as a woman, it's very, you just need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that God is there.
Yeah.
You can sense His presence.
And you know that, He's there and He sympathizes with our pain of the situation.
Yeah, and He understands. Yeah, Charissa, you've had some tough stuff going on. Both as a kind of like modern person in a hostel and personal life. Yeah, you wanna talk about that?
Okay, I'll spare you the details of like what happened. That'll probably take ages. But yes, like people do go through some really tough times, but I think like it's those tough times that having conversations with people about the hard times actually bond like us closer together when we talk about hard times than when we talk about the good times.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like that whole process of taking off your mask and like saying that, hey, I'm a human, I'm as broken as you are, I face the same like ugly situations as you, I'm not perfect. And that's what actually bonds humans together.
Yeah.
And I think that also bonds God and human together as well.
Yeah.
To say that, like we're all human and that's like our flaw, and we can't always try to think that we know everything, and and that's in a personal like aspect. But in the more like bigger scale, like if we look at the world, I feel like certain parts of the world, they feel like they don't need God because of the fact that they don't, perhaps they go through not that much of a where their faith is a matter of life and death to them. Like some parts of the world, if they believe in Christianity, that's a matter of life and death.
Yeah.
And some parts of the world, that's just a matter of like whether people judge you or look down on you or get bullied in high school. It's like very, very different and contrasting. But I feel like in those parts of the world where like there's pain and suffering, and it's so evident in day-to-day life where life becomes like a matter of fighting for survival. In those cases, there's actually a bigger cry for God, and there's a bigger cry for meaning in life and purpose in life and something more to life than this. Whereas like people in a country where like all these are not even like where you're so occupied in superficialities and like what you want to wear, how you want to look and stuff like that, there's not really that much of a cry for God anymore. Because but yes, because of the fact that people think that they have it all, and what's the purpose for God. So pain and suffering actually, I feel, leads people to God in a personal way and in a bigger scale.
I really like what you said about like it bonds people together when the same situation happens to a group of people. It's a very good point, which I never thought of.
So I don't know, like Shanice has an experience in a like non-Christian leadership setting. Like, does it happen there as well? Do you think it's a uniquely Christian thing that when we have pain and suffering, we actually are vulnerable to each other and share, and it brings us closer to God? And I mean, and in a way, Emily has experience online as well. Like, people who are in pain go online and play games, and they do kind of share it as well online in a way that they don't. So yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything to say about the different sections?
Half of people go online is because they have some problems here.
Pokemon Go. I think for me, in my experience in leadership, in a non-Christian setting, is that people take whatever hardships and challenges that they have and try and solve it themselves. It's always about, how can I fix this? What can I do to make it better? How did it happen? Can I stop it from happening or stop it from continuing? And a lot of it is dependent on themselves. I think the beauty of God and our faith is that we know that we don't overcome the suffering and challenges by ourselves, and that we have God to help us and enable us, and is there for us through the suffering. And God when he sent Jesus, he didn't promise us like a really good, great, rosy life, and that Jesus himself suffered in this world, and we too will suffer, whether it is in that really persecuted way for our faith, or if it's like in our secular societies, we will still go through some sort of hardships and challenges, and to know that whatever it is, we have God as the center of our lives, and to choose him in all circumstances, whether good or bad.
Choosing in all circumstances, whether it's good or bad.
That's a good quote. Yeah, it could be a Facebook status.
Elaborating on top of Shanice's point, that you mentioned how the non-Christians or people down the levels try to solve everything by themselves. I do think that as Christians, we too fall into that category a lot of times as well. And as Christians, a lot of times, if something that we think is possible for us to just like handle it ourselves, a lot of times we just ignore the whole God factor and try to resolve it. And I think in terms of like pain and suffering, and I'm looking more towards not as a global context, but as a personal point of view. Like in the case of grieving for a lost one, or grieving for something that you have hold so and dear, and then just went off, just goes away without your control. I mean, no doubt someone is definitely going to be really, really upset at the time. I mean, we can say whatever we want to that person. We can say that, he's in a better place. We can say whatever comforting words. Not everyone will accept it at that time, because they're grieving, we can't really say stuff and then expect them to like just take it by face value. And like for that, I believe that God, in that sense, is a God of healing as well. So like you can't expect a person who's going through grief and all that to heal straight away, like as if we can just heal them like how Jesus just healed someone, because we're not. But it takes them time to go overcome their grief, and they do hope. I mean, there is a hope during the time while they're grieving. Is you as a person who's by their side, or you as the person who's grieving, will go back to God and just like continue meditating on Him, and to like talk to Him, and not just like try to close up that wall around you, and just not close up. Just try not to build a wall around, and basically try to exclude yourself away from everything else. Because when we say God is a healing, He also gives to us, and sometimes the resources around us are the things that it's our source of healing, which we may or may not, notice it sometimes. But He provides us with tools that we may not necessarily use. So I believe, to give them time, you can't just kind of expect them to like come straight to them. It's pretty God.
Oh, that's very cool. Oh, thank you. Any last thoughts on the whole topic? It's definitely an ongoing question that we grapple with every year, and we approach it from different angles. But any last thoughts about the issue of pain, suffering, and God's place in it? Go, Carissa.
I think that a lot of Christians, when they go through some sort of pain and suffering, the first thought would be to blame God and to say like, oh, I had so much faith in you. Why didn't you come through? I prayed to you so much for a miracle. Why didn't I see one? I talked to you so much. Why didn't I hear your voice to reply me? So that's a lot of a lot of Christians nowadays, like that's what they will ask, which is fair enough. Like you go through a lot of pain and suffering, and sometimes you just cannot comprehend. You see all these like miracles happening, and you're like, why doesn't it happen for me? Like you pray so hard, and you're like God, like please, like I see it happening for everyone else. Like why not me? Or in the opposite, why me? Like why did I get cancer? Why did I get like this thing? Why did my family have to go through this? But I think if we it's good to question this. Sometimes I think it's necessary to question it and discuss it and talk about it and relate to it and feel it, experience it, not to just push it away and say I shouldn't be having these feelings because I'm a Christian. Like push it away and like deny it. No. I think you should like go through this entire process. But at the same time, after all that, you need to step back and say like, who is God and who am I? Like I think God is way bigger than we perceive him to be. He's not like someone who just like is our genie in a bottle, like, you know, like, oh, rub this thing, you know, genie come out, 3 wishes, please heal. Whatever. Yeah. Used for my illustration. But yes, he's not our genie in a cup. But he is, like, you know, the God that created us. And if we put that into perspective, that into context, then we see how small we are and how big he is, and like how unreasonable sometimes our demands can be, and how sometimes like we should just look at the big picture and see who are we in comparison to who God is, if we really know who he is. But it is a human process that we all go through and can relate to for sure.
So where do we go to if we need stories that will offer hope, and you know, and if we have no one around us who can give us that big picture, where can we go to? Wow, that's a model answer in this.
Kelly?
Something that we do every week.
Really? Promotion
We can read a book. Like God has given us.
Let's start with the letter B.